told AJ I'm really glad he went out and got Mason. So that's all I've really processed. This bullpen's so deep. Of all the bullpens in the league, to not need me, it's this one. So I'm excited to cheer those guys on. It's a family out there, so I'm excited.
How hard for you to do it not to be really part of that postseason?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part. The recovery is what it is. You can take that day by day, but just knowing this group in here, the mental toughness they have, the skill, you just know there's everything in this clubhouse to win the World Series. So you want to be a part of that, but I can still play, I think, a small part in that and just showing up every day for the boys. But yeah, that's the hardest part.
Your teammates seem heartbroken for you. How do you expect them to respond going forward?
I love those guys. It's a family in here, so they all came in, showed me love, but yeah, really thankful.
Yikes. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I am Marty Caswell. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. What a terrible way to go ahead and start September. I'm not referring, of course, to my guest over there, Kyle Glaser of the wildly popular Friar Territory. I am talking about the injury to Jason Adam here on September 2nd. We now know that he is gone for the season. Kyle, I thought of all these different ways to go ahead and start the first question for today. Here goes. What were the Padres' biggest concerns before the season-ending injury to Jason Adam? And right now, what's the biggest concern as they chase the playoff?
Yeah, they certainly had a lot of concerns. Xander Bogaerts going down for what is likely going to be the rest of the regular season is obviously a big one. And figuring out what's going to be the best alignment for this team in terms of maximizing their offense without sacrificing too much defensively, that was going to be a tricky balance. But there's no question, losing Jason Adam now is the biggest blow to the Padres simply because he has been utterly dominant. This has obviously been a great Padres bullpen all season, but Jason Adam has been central to that. Talk about a sub-2 ERA, 65 appearances. He's been a workhorse. This is one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. And anytime you lose a player of this caliber, no matter how deep your bullpen is, it's a big blow and something that's going to negatively affect the Padres not having him available.
Such a huge blow. All right, here's a quick question from Monty. Jason Adam is a stand-up guy. Chances he's back next year? I will say there's very good chances he's back next year. It was kind of surreal yesterday, Kyle. As you can imagine, a very, very somber clubhouse. When we had a chance to go ahead and speak with Jason Adam, as you saw from that open yesterday, he was standing at his locker, which is right next to a Mason Miller who was so down yesterday. He's standing there on his crutches. His leg was in a cast. On the other side of the locker room, Xander Bogaerts is leaving he's leaving the locker room in a walking boot. It was quite a surreal scene. What Jason Adams said, though, is he was having an MRI today to go ahead and confirm the diagnosis of the quad rupture, and then he expected that he would be out 6 to 9 months. But he says he expects to be back for spring training. So that's the good news on Jason Adam, who, of course, I feel like he was trying to cheer up the people in that locker room. That's how that guy is wired. Yep. Just a different dude, but man, that's a huge blow. That's just absolutely huge blow for the Padres.
No question. And beyond the baseball side of it, just the human side of it, Jason Adam has overcome so much in his career. He had 4 elbow surgeries in the minor leagues, missed 2 full seasons in the minors, made his way to the majors anyway. And then in 2021 with the Cubs in AAA suffered an awful fractured ankle where the bone broke through the skin. I mean, this guy has just been through the ringer to about 4 elbow surgeries, a horrible dislocated ankle, and now this. He's overcome so much to get here. And the fact he's in the majors performing at an all-star level is just an incredible testament to his mental strength, his will, his work ethic. And he's just a stand-up human being all the way around. Jason Adam is a very, very easy guy to root for and love, both in terms of just who he is as a person, as well as what he does on the mound for the Padres. This is a huge blow all around, both just in terms of clubhouse chemistry and the clubhouse dynamic on top of what he provides them in the bullpen. Look, there's no way around it. This hurts big time.
It hurts big time. Now, as Jason said right there, the first thing, when he talked to AJ Preller on the phone, he said, it's a good thing you went out and got Mason Miller. But I think the biggest problem, and it is, you can never have enough starting pitching. You can never have enough bullpen. Every deep playoff team you have to have pitching. You never know when these injuries are going to rise. But Kyle, they were leaning on their bullpen far too much as it was. How much concern do you have over this Padres rotation. I mean, other than Nick Pivetta, I have giant question marks about every single person in the rotation, including you, Darvish, who goes tonight against Baltimore Orioles.
Before Xander Bogaerts and Jason Adam got hurt, that was the number one question, the number one challenge facing the Padres. Now it's number 3, but it's still huge. The Padres are 22nd in innings pitched from their starters this year, and recently during the skid, they have had a starter complete 5 innings just once in their last 7 games, and that was Nick Pivetta going 5. They haven't had a single starter even complete 5 1/3 in the past week. That's not a formula for success. No matter how good your bullpen is, no matter how deep your bullpen is, you need your starters to, at minimum, consistently give you 6 innings plus. They're not getting anywhere close to that right now. And look, if this keeps up, forget the division. They're going to be at risk of missing out on the playoffs altogether. As much as, yes, they have a nice cushion and they're in that number 5 wildcard spot, the Reds are coming. The Mets are coming. If the Padres starting pitchers continue to fail to get through 5 innings, they're not going to win many games the rest of the season. It's that simple.
Okay, you said the Reds are coming. By the way, I think the Padres will face them the next home game, right? Monday through Wednesday. The Reds, Mets are right there. We see what Juan Soto is doing right now. Their best player is stepping up when they need him the most, and we'll get there when it comes to this Padres offense. But the Giants are coming too. I mean, the Giants are right there at 500, and they're not dead. Even though they were essentially sellers of the deadline, the Giants are right there. This thing has gotten rather murky for the Padres pretty fast.
No question. Look, they've lost 6 of 8. Half of those losses have come against sub 500 teams. That road series against the Twins, that's a series you cannot lose, period. Dropping the opener to a Orioles team that, yes, they've been playing better over the last 80 games or so. This is still a team that was in last place in the American League East. You cannot lose games like this down the stretch. And I think from the Padres' perspective now, we'll get into it like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Their stars are not performing like stars. Now the injuries are starting to hit. This is something they have to fix right now, not a week from now, not 10 days from now. This has to start tonight against Baltimore. If they drop a series at home to a last place Orioles team, the alarm bells should be ringing very, very loudly.
It was a pretty demoralized clubhouse yesterday, and of course, the Jason Adam thing is the biggest. It's the biggest thing because you could see the concern on his teammates when he went down. He knew right away. Those players in that field, they knew right away that his season was over. And he's, he has 4 little girls, and I know Estrada was talking about how difficult it's going to be. Forget the baseball stuff. He will be able to carry his kids for a while. They're very young, little girls as he's recovering from this injury. So that was a pretty shaken clubhouse. I'm sure we'll get some more information later on today on Jason Adam. And what do you think? How do you replace? You can't replace Jason Adam, but they do have a very good bullpen. I think now the bigger question is, who picks up these innings in the rotation?
Look, it's going to have to come from the guys in the rotation. Yu Darvish has to be better than he's been. Dylan Cease has to be better than he's been. Nestor Cortez has to be better than he's been. All of these pitchers have track records of success, and not success in the sense of, 5 and dive, go to the bullpen, but consistently giving you 6 innings, 7 innings, and being able to carry the load down the stretch. None of them are doing it right now. As you mentioned, Nick Pivetta has been the one guy consistently doing it. Michael King is scheduled to come off the IL soon. We'll see if he's able to carry that kind of load, again, coming off a knee injury. At the end of the day, this is who the Padres have. Expecting JP Sears and Randy Vasquez to come and save the day, I'd be a great boost if they did, but I don't think that's what you can expect. It comes down to the guys currently in that clubhouse, currently in the starting rotation, stepping up and performing better than they have been.
Who do you think the Padres call up to replace? Who's an obvious name to come up? Now you mentioned Randy Vasquez, and Randy Vasquez. I mean, he was an effective starter for the Padres, and we talk about how Mike Schultz would remove him after third time through the lineup, which you want to go ahead and do. But I mean, shoot, right now that's on brand for this Padres rotation. They're not getting past the 5th inning anyways. So does Randy Vasquez make obvious sense for the Padres right now?
I think he makes a lot of sense in the sense the Padres could really use a long man, given the fact their starters are not going deep, and given the fact this bullpen has been ridden so hard, and now they're down one of their best arms. Having that long relief guy, that swing man who can give you, 3 2/3 in relief, or if, something goes wrong, you need a spot start can give it to you. That probably is their best route. They need innings to be covered right now. Bringing up another guy who can blow gas, but is going to be done after 1 inning.
Yeah.
That's not really what they need right now. They need guys who can cover innings. And right now, a long man is who makes the best sense to do that.
Until Jason Adam went down, had that injury, I thought the biggest question going into post-game win or lose was going to be Fernando Tatis Jr. being scratched right before the game with what the team called lower half tightness. I'm not quite sure exactly what that is. I know Schilt was a little bit evasive. And I saw Fernando in the clubhouse before the game, was walking around. The fact that he was in the lineup to begin with makes me think it wasn't too huge a deal. I'm not sure if Mike Schilt was doing due diligence because, as you know, Kyle Glaser, it's the dog days of summer right now. The Padres are in a stretch run, and he wants to give some of his guys some time off. How concerned should we be with Tatis injury?
Anytime you see a guy scratched in the lineup right before the game, it's a little concerning. At the same time, the Padres are coming off a long road trip. They're playing right off that road trip. That Sunday game, flew home, halfway across the country, then have a day game against the Orioles. If he's not feeling 100%, I don't think there's any harm in just, hey, let's take a day. Let's get you back. I wouldn't be too concerned just given the context, again, of the road trip coming back. You have a day game. Now, if he comes out tonight and is visibly not 100%, or if he misses tonight's game, then some eyebrows should be raised. But I think just taking a day off, because it's very, very likely and reasonable that something just didn't quite feel right, and it's better to give it a day than try and push through it and force something.
Jackson Merrill was activated off IL yesterday before the game. Of course, he did not pinch hit, which is interesting. I mean, you had Mike Schilt went with Wagner instead in the ninth inning in a 1-run ball game rather than going with Jackson Merrill, who pinch ran. And Schilt said that they put him through a battery of baseball activities yesterday. The last hurdle was running, which he did. He was pretty optimistic that he'd be in the lineup today. Yeah. Assuming Tatis is back today, okay, fingers crossed for the Padres offense, and Jackson Merrill is back. What do you do with this lineup, considering how much they've struggled to be consistent?
That's the $1 million question. That's the challenge facing Mike Schilt. Because look, naturally you would say Tatis goes to right, of course, like he's been all year. Merrill in center, left field Laureano, and then O'Hearn and Arias. One of them is first base, the other is DH. But that leaves you without Gavin Sheets, who has been the Padres' best hitter for the last month and has been one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball for the past month. And realistically, over the course of the season, has been one of the Padres' best hitters. And given their offensive struggles, given the lack of thump in their lineup right now, they cannot afford to not have Gavin Sheets in this lineup every day. So there's a number of things the Padres, I think, need to at least explore. And the main thing is, I do think they need to at least explore, is Jackson Merrill capable of playing shortstop? And normally you would say, a situation like this, you just say, no, it's out of the question. But Jackson Merrill's a special case. He has already shown an incredible ability to adapt rapidly and on the fly with his transition to center field in the Major League last year. And you have to remember, he was a good shortstop. This wasn't a case where he moved off of short because he couldn't play the position like we see so many minor leaguers. He moved because he was athletic enough to handle center field, and that's where the Padres' need was. I don't think when I say explore it, I mean put him in a game right now. But they should be putting him through some pregame infield work, seeing how he's moving, seeing how the ankle feels, seeing if he can handle lateral agility, seeing if everything is still there. And if it is, that's what's going to give the Padres their best offensive lineup. You have Merrill at short, and you have Sheets in left, Laureano in center, Tatis in right. You are sacrificing some defense, though. So, look, if they run him out there, and because it's been 2 years since he's played the position, he's just not sharp or it's not a good idea, so be it. But I think at the very least, they need to be giving him some work in the infield just to see and explore the possibility. Because look, they need Gavin Sheets in this lineup, and that's the only way all of Sheets, O'Hearn, and Arias are in the lineup every single day. It's if Merrill's at shortstop. That's
a great point. And he's such a gifted athlete that if there's any one person that could do it on this team, it would be Jackson Merrill. I mean, he played pretty much a gold glove caliber defense, last year for the Padres in his first year after spending his entire life, playing shortstop. By the way, I am so glad you said this because I almost said it in jest yesterday to Jackson Merrill when we saw him in pregame. I said, listen, was Xander Bogaerts being, done probably for the regular season, how much would you like to play shortstop? If they asked you, you said, oh, I'd love it. I'd love that chance. I would love the opportunity if they would ask me, but I'm good to go ahead and play just wherever they tell me to go ahead and play. Wow. Love it, Jack. Okay. So now so I know he rehabbed in Arizona. Now I need you to go ahead and check your sources, Kyle, and find out if Jackson Merrill was in fact taking any grounders, getting any work at shortstop when he was the Padres minor league or spring training
I can send those texts out. And again, look, it's very, very possible. Again, I want to take a step back. He has not played shortstop in 2 years, and he was a very good shortstop. And like Elsinore, he was a good shortstop in San Antonio. He projected to stay at the position, very instinctive, clean footwork, quick release. Again, just a really solid, fundamentally sound defender at shortstop who was going to make every play you wanted him to make. But there's a big difference between doing that at Double A versus the major leagues. The ball gets on you a lot faster. The runners are coming at you a lot faster. And there's always a rust component. So that's why I think, again, the Padres, if they put him through infield work and for whatever reason, it just isn't there, or if the ankle is really only 85% healed, not 100% healed, and he can't move the way you want him to, that's fine, scrap it. But they need to at least explore it. I think outright ruling it out from the get-go is a mistake that automatically makes them a lesser team because they need all of those bats in the lineup, period.
Yeah, to your point, they are a much better team with Gavin Sheets. I know what a great defensive player Glaser is. You need to have a player like that on your team. He's so vital at third base. Give Manny some time off his feet. I'm at shortstop, at second base, but the bat is exposed when you play him every single day. And right now, every single game that counts so much. They're struggling against bad teams. This was supposed to be the soft part of the schedule. Instead, they've lost 3 of their last 4 games against bad teams who were sellers at the deadline. No
question about it. And it also brings us to some of the Padres stars are not performing the way they need to. And, it really starts with Manny Machado, who was fantastic all year, carried the Padres through the first 4 months of the season. But since August 1st, he's hitting .214 with 1 home run and a .571 OPS. And just watch his at-bats. You can see it. He's exhausted. He's tired. The swing's getting longer. He's diving at breaking balls. He's not catching up to velocity. He really, really needs the day off. And I really think as much as, yes, every game counts at this point in the schedule, and you don't want to risk, maybe not having him in the lineup, having this version of Manny Machado in the lineup for the rest of the season isn't going to help the Padres. He needs a day, and I don't need a DH day. I mean a full day off. And I would really like to see the Padres give it to him on Wednesday. The off day Thursday. He has 2 Colorado. Look, we talked much about the pitchers and how difficult Coors Field is for them. It's very, very difficult on the position players going up into the elevation and then down from the elevation on such a quick turn. The Padres only go for 3 games and they come right back home. That can do a number on guys' bodies. So I really, really think Manny Machado needs a day off, and that's where for the Padres right now, you really want to win tonight on Tuesday, because if you're down, you lose this one, and then you go on Wednesday with Manny needing a day off. It's not a good situation. So look, they need a lot of things to happen right now. Tatis has not been swinging the bat great. Arias has not been swinging the bat great. The guys at the top of the order have to deliver, but I do think a full day off.
Last week when I spoke with AJ Caswell of MLB.com, my friend in the press box, we were talking about September call-up. He's off this week, but he thought that Luis Campusano would make a ton of sense for the Padres. I mean, he's rewriting all the home run records for the El Paso Chihuahuas right now. He was not part of our call-ups, which to me tells me everything about how the organization feels about him. Called up when they expanded the rosters.
No, just because when you look at the Padres' needs right now, another DH kind of bat is not what they need. They have a lot of those guys already with Sheets, with O'Hearn, Arias and DH days as well. That's truly what Campusano is. We've talked about this. He's an impactful hitter. Catching is just not something he can do. Again, game calling. So if you brought him up, it would be solely as a bat. And look, just to be perfectly frank, it's very, very clear with the way he was used early in the season. Mike Shildt does not trust him, does not like playing him. And at this point in the season, using a guy to just sit on the bench, you really need all hands on deck right now. And it's very, very clear that Mike Shildt is not comfortable throwing Luis Campusano out there. And you're right. At this point, he needs a fresh start in the organization. It would not surprise me if he shows up somewhere a few years from now and he's hitting 25 homers a season as a DH hitting from the 5 spot. But it's very, very clear that his tenure with the Padres at this point, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Speaking of needing fresh starts and maybe a reset, what do you make of the season that Dylan Cease is having? I don't know what he can be asked anymore. I mean, he's wearing it. You can tell how much the struggles are affecting him mentally. What do you make of really what's been a lost season for Dylan Cease in a free agent year, which is huge for him?
Look, when you have zero fastball command, you're not going to be successful. As much as we talked today about guys, just blowing gas by hitters and having disgusting sliders, and in some cases now throwing sliders more than fastballs, as we've seen Dylan Cease do sometimes. You can't pitch backwards and expect to have success in the major leagues. You have to establish your fastball. You have to be able to command your fastball. If you cannot do that, you will not have success. We've seen it all year that he had way too many games, really from start to finish, where he did not command his fastball in terms of it was missing the strike zone big time. And then when it was a strike, it was belt high over the middle. He was giving up a lot of hard contact. And that's why some of the outside folks who weren't really watching this team every day were just looking at the stats and seeing the peripherals and saying, oh, he'll be fine. He'll turn around the second half. It wasn't going to be that easy when you watched him. If you do not have any fastball command, you're not going to be successful in the major leagues. And it looked like he was maybe getting it back those first two starts after the trade deadline, but he's fallen back into what he's been all year. And with that inconsistency, I mean, realistically, if the Padres had a full rotation right now of 5 healthy guys, he would be the odd man out. You cannot start him in a playoff game right now, but they don't have 5 healthy guys. And realistically, you hope King comes back, and it would be Pivetta, King, Darvish, and Cease would be your number 4 starter at best. It's just hard to trust him right now because this has been the case all season long.
Hopefully we'll get some more clarity on Michael King. I know he threw a side session yesterday. Mike Schill did not want to really go into a timetable. I think they are being extremely cautious with Michael King. Give her starts, maybe 4 starts in the regular season, and you build them up for postseason. But yeah, right now, these next few weeks are about who do you trust? Who do you trust in the pitching staff, and who do you trust offensively? And maybe it's about getting Jackson Merrill some time at shortstop. Getting him some credit at shortstop.
I will say with Jackson Merrill, the one thing I'm going to be watching for him too, independent of where he's playing defensively, is the quality of at-bats. If you really split his season into 2 halves, he was not the same after he came back from his concussion. He had that early hamstring injury, but he came back, was hitting well, went to a little bit of a slump, but up through his concussion, he was hitting 304 with an 823 OPS. After the concussion, 219 with the 640 OPS. He was swinging at pitches we don't normally see him swing at. He was chasing up fastballs. I mean, it was a little rough. So I'm going to be really curious to see which version of Jackson Merrill comes back offensively, because regardless of what position he plays, if he's hitting 219 with a 640 OPS while Manny Machado is struggling, while Fernando Tatis is struggling, while Luis Arias is struggling, again, it's really not going to matter. The Padres need their stars to step up. Again, Gavin Sheets has been doing his job. Ramon Laureano's been doing his job. Ryan O'Hearn's had some really big moments. But they got to have the top 4 or 5 guys in their lineup performing day in and day out. And it's just not happening right now.
No, maybe that's one reason why they did not rush him back, because to your point, they do want to keep Gavin Sheets in this lineup. Yesterday, Mike Schill just talked about how amazing he has been. Of course, you mentioned Ryan O'Hearn, that you have the luxury of those guys. You don't need to rush a young player like that back. You want to make sure he's right. To your point, 3 stints on the IL, the hamstring issue, the concussion's a big deal. So it's been a grind for Jackson Merrill. But the good thing is, you have guys who can pick up some of that slack. That's why you traded for O'Hearn and Laureano, and you need your stars to perform. And I change my mind almost day to day on what I think this Padres team can do. But to me, it goes down to the one thing: if Tatis is Tatis and Manny is Manny, I feel like this team can overcome anything. But I'm not sure they've shown at the same time that they can beat those guys. But I think they're lucky that this division is what it is, and the Dodgers have their own issues as well. Only a 2.5 game lead in this division. They're now 3 behind the Cubs. I think the wild card thing is getting very, very interesting. A little bit too tight.
I will say with Tatis and Machado, both have had such fantastic stretches this season. You at least know it's in there, that it is a realistic possibility that they can get hot at the same time and really start to carry this offense. I think actually the bigger concern is we have not seen Dylan Cease have any stretch of consistency this year. We have not seen Yu Darvish really have any stretch of consistency since he came off the IL. Michael King, again, we just don't know what he's going to be able to give the Padres in terms of length, effectiveness, coming off nerve issue in the shoulder, now a knee. I'm actually more concerned about the state of the pitching, because at least with the offense, since the trade deadline, they have had guys step up and make up for some of the shortcomings at the top of the order. They don't have guys who can make up for Dylan Cease or Yu Darvish, or if Michael King struggles. Again, Randy Vasquez, JP Sears, these guys are nice depth starters, maybe number 5s, but they're not guys you really want anywhere near, game 2 or 3 of a playoff series. And look, at the end of the day, Nestor Cortez, he's okay, but again,
they might need him. The way things are going, they might need him. He was a guy that was going to get you to the end of September.
Yeah.
He was not going to be part of that playoff roster, and now you're at a point you might need Nestor Cortez.
And when he's right, you feel pretty good about him being a game 4 starter in a playoff series. He's, again, a lot of people are just going to remember him serving up the home run to Freddie Freeman last year, the Grand Slam, but he's actually had a really nice career, and he's a good, effective pitcher that, again, he's a perfect, game 4 starter, but they need to be better than he's been as well. Yeah. So at the end of the day, for me, yes, this offense has concerns, especially with Xander Bogaerts out. He's been great since mid-June, hitting over 300 with an OPS well over 800. I'm actually more concerned about the starting pitching because they don't have guys who can really pick up the slack right now. And when you're already 22nd in innings pitched, this bullpen was already stretched thin in terms of innings. Now you lose Jason Adam. There's a real concern on my end that if the starters don't start picking it up and don't start giving the Padres at least, forget 5 innings, 6+ innings, this team's going to completely collapse down the stretch from fatigue because the bullpen's not going to be able to shoulder the. I
think Mike Schultz shares your same. Excuse me, not enough coffee today. I think Mike Schultz shares your same concern. That's a tongue twister right there. Try saying that 5 times twice. This is real quick. This is what Mike Schultz had to say yesterday when he was asked about the starting pitching.
We have a deep bullpen, talented bullpen, but the way the game's built, and I know it's morphing into shortening the game, but over 162 games, starters are going to have to carry a lion's share of the innings, and we just haven't been able to get that consistently, which is affecting. We had a bullpen game yesterday. We got 8 innings out of our starters. Last series, 12. The series before that, but we are capable. We do, and it still is not. From my seat, it's not a lack of confidence in Dylan. Or we do know we have some guys that we're going to have to continue to bring along, have to get going, continue to get going, and Cortez in a similar bucket, and then of course Nick's been solid, and Michael is around the corner, but I don't know what the depth of Michael looks like and what he's going to be able to give us a win. But like I said,
okay, so that was Mike Schultz yesterday talking about what he needs from what they need from their starters. And Yu Darvish goes tonight. So listen, go get him, Yu Darvish. Baltimore Orioles, 6+ innings from Darvish to go ahead and he's shown flashes. He's shown flashes there. He's been up and down this year, but to your point, they haven't gotten any consistency from him, and that's going to be so important these final few weeks. Absolutely. All right, Kyle Glaser, any final thoughts? I'm not sure when I'll see you next at Petco Park. Will you be around next week when they play huge series with the Reds? I really thought, given the soft schedule, given how the Reds were looking, that they were going to go ahead and put some big separation in the wild card chase. But man, it's gotten too close for comfort in the final 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm planning to be down the next week. I had some travel. That's why I wasn't able to be there over this Labor Day weekend and through this Orioles series. But look, this is going to be a big test for the Padres. As I mentioned, their starters have given them 5 innings once in the last 7 games. Mm-hmm. That's not going to cut it. If that continues, forget winning division or a wild card spot. They're going to miss the playoffs entirely if that's what they keep getting from their starters. They have to get more consistency from them. 6+, at minimum 5+, but realistically 6+ every time out from here on, from Darvish, from Cease. You're going to get it from Pivetta.
Yep.
At the end of the day, that's going to determine and make or break the Padres season in terms of where they are in the playoff chase, whether they're in the 4th spot, whether they win the division, or if they miss the playoffs entirely. The starters have to step up. Simple as that.
Simple as that. Kyle Glaser, you are the man. What do you have coming up this week on Friday?
Yeah. We've got Heath Bell coming up on Wednesday. We've got a show Friday, which will lead us into the Rockies series. And then Mike Cameron will be with me on Sunday to wrap up Padres Rockies. And hopefully by the end of this week, the mood will be a little bit better than it is right now in San Diego. But look, when you lose 6 of 8, you lose a lot of key players to injury. understandably, there's concern, especially, look, Padres fans have lived through a lot of September collapses, and I think there's definitely a little bit of that fear of, is 07 or 2010 happening again? 2 years the Padres were in first place into September and then missed the playoffs entirely. So we'll see if they can step it up. But against teams like the Orioles and the Rockies, you have to. If you blow these games again, it's going to be 5-alarm fire.
It's devastating. And I would agree with you. And this is what I hate the most. I mean, we looked at, it's the soft schedule, right? They had the softest schedule based on the the winning percentage of the teams you're playing. But if you're facing pitching depth issues, especially in your bullpen and your starting rotation, the last place you want to go is Coors Field. I don't care how bad that baseball team is. Holy smokes, going to Coors Field, they need to take care of business. A little bit of cushion with the Baltimore Orioles. We'll see what happens. Kyle Glaser, you are the man. Thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate you. Hopefully you, Darvish, can give Padres fans just a little bit, something to smile about tonight. I'll talk to you soon,
Sounds good.
friends.
Thanks for having me, Marty.
That was Kyle Glaser of Friar Territory. You can find him on social media, on Twitter, and make sure you watch his channel tomorrow with Keith Bell and Mike Cameron on Friday. Always a ton of great information. All right, guys, that is it. I'm going to go to Petco Park in a couple hours. I'm going to keep my eyes on shortstop and see if I see Jackson Merrill out there taking ground balls. I know he says he's up for it. He'd love that. You'll hear from him shortly in the close, as well as Mason Miller here talking about just how devastating it is to lose his teammate and locker mate, Jason Adam. Thanks, guys, for your time. We're brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. I'm having to have a great Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same motto, I guess. It's just any guy, any situation. Obviously it sucks losing him, not only for what he does on the mound, but also just the type of person he is. Just a phenomenal teammate, and I'm sure he's going to continue to be that. It's going to be guys that need to step up and fill that role. So we certainly have guys like that too.
It's time to roll right now and go hard down the stretch. Like I said, just get ready for October.
Going down.
Awesome. I mean, yeah, I'll play wherever, honestly. But obviously.